Welcome to this special edition of Northern Business Leaders in association with the professional services firm Deloitte. We're recording this during the COVID-19 crisis, and we're going to return to three of the Northern business leaders who we visited during normal times. The first is Robert Forrester, who's the CEO of Vertu Motors plc, which has well over 120 outlets, motor dealership outlets throughout the UK. Its headquarters in northeast England, and its brands include Bristol Street Motors, Macklin Motors, and Farnell. Robert, welcome again to Northern Business Leaders. Tell me, what was the approach you took at the very beginning of this crisis, and how has it developed over the period of weeks?
Well, it first came on the radar, I guess, early February, then to mid-February, when we started to talk about what we might want to do and started to raise issues about contact centres. Our priority actually was to try and avoid a mass outbreak in a contact centre, everyone starting to self-isolate, and we thought that would be business critical for us. So we put protocols in place quite early actually in terms of splitting the group up. I haven't seen my COO since 1st of March. We kept management very separate. We actually locked down all central functions very, very early, so no one could visit, including me. And then we started working, and we'd been doing this actually for the previous 6 months. Could we get home working in place in contact centres? We thought there was some benefit to doing that. And that preparatory work and indeed some experiment actually worked very well. Because then progressively through March, we then started putting social distancing and more home working. As of today, which is sort of mid-April, all our contact centres, both internet sales, service bookings, centre reception, where all the calls from the dealerships are taken centrally, are fully operational from home, which is a staggering feat, actually. I mean, I still pinch myself to think we've managed to get that level of functionality. We put bans in place very early on meetings. Mm-hmm. We put bans in place on using public transport. For somebody like me who spends most of their time travelling around the country using trains, that was a major thing. I think I made my last journey to a dealership on the 7th of March. And actually, I think that has helped us in terms of with the controls around cleaning and handshaking, which we've all done very early. We have to date, luckily, had very few incidences actually within the business. And certainly none that I can think of, related to the business.
During the lockdown itself, you decided to open your service depots, and that was very well received by the general public because you put some criteria in on who could use them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the day before the Boris announcement on the lockdown, we actually said that we would close our dealerships on the Wednesday. We could see the direction of travel. Was that an overreaction? Should we have gone to a different solution? I think in the circumstances we made the right decision. It's actually much easier to implement some opening from a closed position than to half close. When Boris came on the Monday night, we decided to bring that forward to Tuesday night. So on the Tuesday night of the lockdown, we actually had everything closed. We closed a business that took 13 years to build with 6,000 employees in 2 days. We then took stock and said, well, hang on a minute. Yes, showrooms are legally closed. That is absolutely categorical. But really, our service departments are not legally closed. And we have a responsibility to customers. And we identified 3 specific types of customer who we felt we needed to be open for, frankly. One were key workers, because cars do break down, need repair. One is essential organisations. We are one of the major suppliers of vans in the United Kingdom, a big market share in vans. And vans are absolutely crucial at the moment. And actually on key workers, there are 7 million key workers. 22% of the workforce are key workers. It's not just nurses and doctors. So that's a big percentage, really. And then the third element were vulnerable customers who needed cars to transport food. So we opened we still open vast majority of our service operations. On a skeleton staff, we're doing about 20% of our normal turnover in relation to service, repairs, etc. And in fairness, we're continuing to monitor that. In some places, the demand hasn't been there. So we've put some people onto furlough, and actually I'm now increasingly taking people off furlough. So this morning we made a decision, 3 extra technicians into Bolton Land Rover. We've actually got so much work in that dealership. And Ford vans, we continue to put more resource into Ford vans, which clearly are, to quote the advert, the backbone of Britain. So there's lots of stuff we've done there. And clearly on the sales side, our showrooms are closed. But digitally we're open. All our contact centres are open, live chat. You can talk to salespeople. And we have made the decision, and this is backed up increasingly by the government, that actually if a key worker needs a car urgently because it's broken down or been written off, etc., then we will supply that car. I am actually personally signing off those deliveries. So we've got a number of different businesses. Our vans supply business down in South Wales is taking about 4 orders a day. We're now doing home deliveries there. And increasingly, as the government gets to the detail, there's more and more information about what's permissible, what isn't permissible, and the thing is now just starting to open up.
So what are your plans for May, moving towards a presumption that in the summer a lockdown will be eased?
Well, we don't know when the lockdown is to be eased. We've actually set an internal date, which is a proxy date, just for planning purposes, of actually the 11th of May. I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but it's a useful thing to have a date. If we were to open on the 11th of May, what do we need to do between then and now? And we've got a safety committee around PPE. We put an order in last week for £400,000 worth of PPE, which will take about a month to get here, because clearly we will be opening, I believe, with customers and colleagues in the group with face masks, customer facing, use of gloves, sanitizers, all that good stuff, social distancing in place. And there's a lot of work around that. You know, how do you do a safe home delivery? Very difficult in my opinion. How do you do a safe delivery from a showroom? Much easier, much more controlled. So there's lots of work streams now, and we are starting increasingly to take people out of furlough where we see activity increasing, particularly on the web. In fairness, our web traffic is probably only 20% down where it was this time last year, which is quite surprising, actually.
You expect it to be further down?
I would have expected further down. It's come back quite nicely. We've been on television for the last 10 days, actually, with an online retailing message, and that's clearly helped traffic on the website. We've been doing Facebook campaigns for key workers around servicing. So we've done quite a bit of marketing, tuned into the right messages and being supported there for key workers actually in the main. So we've got a sort of a plan now of which there needs to be judgments made. I've got cars that need preparing, cosmetically, mechanically. When do I bring my cosmetic repairers back? How much resource do I put into home deliveries or deliveries from showrooms? We're clearly working very, very closely with the manufacturers. I mean, it's Monday morning, it's lunchtime or nearly lunchtime. I've spoken to probably the 3 most important people in the manufacturing community in the United Kingdom this morning in terms of just touching base and where you're up to your lobbying and making sure everyone's aligned in terms of talking to the government. I'm pleased to say the sector is very aligned in terms of what we'd like to see as sensible moves going forward.
Robert, thank you for giving us that update, and we'll incorporate it into our Northern Business Leaders special.